and they don't make these things for people my height. All right, it's pretty awesome and incredible to be able to sit here and hear former presidents and VIPs and my dad's bosses speak so favorably above him. I'm applying for a lot of jobs right now, and I just hope in that 3 years time or so, whatever place is dumb enough to hire me I hope my bosses look as favorably upon me as my dad's do. There's a lot of things that I took from my dad. Principally is my love for candy. My mom always gets on me because I'm always eating sweets and I get cavities real easy. And you should have seen her face the last time I walked into Dr. Lee's office and she got the bill from the dentist. My dad was the greatest speechwriter that I ever met in my life, and I've had the opportunity to hear him speak so eloquently on so many different topics over the course of the 21 years that I had the blessing of sharing with him. And I just remember at his Hall of Fame speech, I was crying like a baby. And I say all that to say that, any chance of me preparing words for today was thrown out the window 21 years ago. But there's a couple funny things I want to share about my dad. After basketball practices at Lovett, and anybody in the building that's a Lovett parent or that went to Lovett can attest to this, my parents had this rotation schedule where my mom would pick me up from school some days and take me back to the house. My dad would pick me up from school some days if he was getting off work around the same time that I was getting out of practice. And Kathy's right, my dad was never on time. He just, if practice ended at 6:30, my dad would pick me up at 8:45. That's just the way he operated. And I wish I had the perspective when I was younger to understand why my dad was always late to pick me up. He wasn't late because, it had just slipped his mind or something. He was late because he was doing the important work of impacting people's lives around the globe. And if I had the same perspective that I do now, when I was a teenager, I would have told him to take all the time that he needed. I don't want to run too long here, so I would like to speak on some special moments that I got to share with my dad ever since I moved back home to Atlanta after graduating college in May. And there was one morning when I remember I'd heard about this book called Good, Beautiful, and Kind by Pastor Rich Viadas, who's based out of Brooklyn. And I told my mom the night before I left for Barnes & Noble, I said, I really want to go get this book. I heard about it on Instagram and I've been dying to read it. So the next morning, I was at Barnes & Noble's at 9:59 in the morning, 1 minute before they opened. And when I went there, they looked around for the book and they got it for me. And I read half the book before I even left the store. And when I came home, it was a really special moment. I got to share some of the beautiful passages of that writing with my dad. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that title, Good and Beautiful and Kind, is a title adopted from a Langston Hughes poem called Tired. And that poem reads, I am so tired of waiting for the world to become good and beautiful and kind. let us take a knife and cut this world in two and see what worms are eating at the rind. And that poem resonated a lot with me, not only a couple months ago, but also today, because just hearing the stories of my father today, I'm reminded that my dad really had a hunger to get to the core of things, to get to the core of people, to get to the core of this world. And I truly believe that's what drove him into our hearts. And he had this massive magnetic gravitational pull, and he pulled us into his orbit. And we were just so blessed to get to spend the time that we did with him. And I want to end my words today with just a little bit of the perspective that I've adopted over the course of last night and this morning during these beautiful services. My dad passed away at age 58. My mother's father, Katamba, from which I bear my name, passed away at age 54. Over the last 3 years, I've witnessed not only in myself, but I've personally experienced with other people my age. People my age feel like we're waiting around for a purpose, like we're waiting around for a calling. We're waiting for an important opportunity or something monumental to happen to us to take action so we can step into the lives of others. But I want to remind everybody who's young in the crowd today, and even the older folks in here, that as long as you've got people around you, there's ways that you can help. There's ways that you can step in and touch the lives of others. My dad was a gigantic, beautiful, shining example of that. And I'm going to be thinking about him for the rest of my life. So I love all of you guys. Thank you for coming out today. And I'll leave the rest to my beautiful sister and my handsome brother, JJ.
Sorry, Ryan's a bit taller than me. I want to thank Eastside for hosting us. And I want to thank everybody for coming out, friends, family, associates. As it says on the screen, my name is Jean-Jacques Mutombo, and I want to clarify, my name is Jean-Jacques Dikembe Mutombo Jr. And that's something I've grappled with and struggled with my entire life, having to live up to that name. I didn't prepare words today because I wanted to speak from the heart, but we are all witnesses to the life of Dikembe Mutombo and his greatness and what that means to all of us. He's impacted us in some way. My father passed on September 30th. And 2 years ago, September 30th was my last day of an internship, and it was the last day of my life where ignorance was bliss. My father was with my mother in Japan, and when he came home, and my mom told me, Jean-Jacques, we're going to the hospital with your father. That was the last time I saw my father walk without any support in my life. But my father was resilient. Anybody who knows Dikembe knows that he was not going to give up. I saw him go to physical therapy. I took him to physical therapy, whether it was the replacement of a catheter or there was screening for cancer. All of those things I witnessed. I used to have dreams that I would see my father walk again. I never saw my father walk again. When people would visit my father, they knew that he was eager to get back out into the world. He would ask about the travels they'd been on and when he could join, and he was eager to work. but he didn't get to witness any of the work that he had started anymore, and he will no longer be able to witness it. But we all get to witness it, and we have witnessed it. President Bill Clinton is a witness. Masai Ujiri is a witness. My mother, Rose Mutombo, is a witness. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is a witness. Georgetown teammate Alonzo Mourning is a witness.